Okay, almost done. Last week of honey pull. I've got one, two, I think 4 more yards left. Should be able to get it done this week. These small yards like this, I can pull two when we have a good sunny day, and it's sunny today and it's 99 freaking degrees, so the honey should come off pretty quick. There's not going to be very much. Some of these yards here, it's got like 6 boxes. There's another yard I'm going to do today. It's got about 10 boxes. And I think same for the other couple of yards. There's one yard I'm not sure about. I haven't been to in quite a while. So, but there were like 41 out of 80 something hives that were queenless. So, which we tried to fix. So hopefully they're good. But I highly doubt they made any honey if you have that kind of catastrophic queen failure. As long as the hives are okay. But I'm gonna get to this, and then we'll be done. And maybe, I don't know, a couple more nights of extraction. And then I can maybe get a good night's sleep. This yard's really good for honey production normally, but I think I did a video on this one a while back when we first split it, and it was the same problem we had with a lot of the other yards that didn't make honey, in that you know, one side of the yard was comb because they were double deeps we split in half, and the other half was like foundation. This yard was extremely foundation bound. I came by to check on them, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago maybe, and they actually looked extremely good. I mean, you can see there aren't many dead out spots on the pallet. One, I think. The others we were able on, maybe 2, 3, something, yeah, 3, okay. So I was able to save most of them. They all were queen right, and it was pretty good. We have a lot of problems with beetles in this yard. They seem to get really bad in the sand, so I did spread a ton of Grub-X. I spread like half a bag of it out in this yard last time I was here, just to try and keep them down. And I tell you, it's not really a great yard to work when it's really hot, because that heat just reflects off that beach sand there, and it just, I'm not at the beach, but that's kind of like beach sand. I don't know, some kind of sand anyways. It just really amplifies the heat, so I want to get out of here before I melt. But hopefully the bees are good. I'm going to just keep doing what I've been doing. We'll pull off the 6 boxes of honey. You can see I've already got them marked with the thumbtacks. When I came around the other week, whenever it was, I had already taken off the excluder. I already gave them comb up there. We're still making comb from extraction, thankfully. So I'll give them a box of comb that we extracted a couple nights ago. And hopefully get the heck out of here. You know, medicate them and feed them, and then get the heck out of here and go do the other location, which I think, again, there's like 10 boxes of honey in the other spot, I think. So not much, but you know, hey, you know, it is what it is. I just want to get this over with. I'm so sick of pulling honey, and I'm triply, doubly, quadruply sick of having to extract at night and then get back up and do this again. But we're almost through. I'm just going to power through it, and then I'm going to sleep for a very long time. I'll tell you, this honey robber has been extremely good this year. That's my first time using that brand, and man, it's good. Just 2 or 3 good squirts here, a little spray bottle. Man, the stuff, it just gets the bees right out of there. I like it so much better than that whatever that we were using, some kind of almond oil extract. I forgot what it's called now, and definitely smells better, the other version, but it didn't work very well. This stuff, it makes me want to run out of the bee yard, so it's definitely making the bees want to get out of their honey boxes. But I'll be glad to be done with this stuff, because I'm tired of smelling like a dead body. And we're going to just bleach actually, I'm probably just going to burn this bee suit, because you never get this stuff out of there. It stinks so bad. There is still something out there, some kind of nectar coming in. I don't know what it is. You can see, like, I'll shake the lid and I'll get some little droplets. And I've been seeing that in each yard. And then I can see a frame like this one here has a lot of fresh wax. I mean, it looks very, very fresh to me. So they're still doing a little something. And in most locations, I've just seen that. There's always just, and it's not every hive, it's just a hive here and there seems to have some fresh wax, but a lot of them do have some kind of fresh nectar, and it's usually on the lids. At first I thought it was rainwater because it's been raining so much, but then it just hasn't rained in a little bit, so I'm assuming it's nectar. So I don't know what the heck is going on right now this late in the season. I'm grateful for it, and I hope with the syrup buckets it'll just, you know, cause them to spike back up into the new box I'm about to give them. I don't know. I was just pulling this frame out of fresh wax so I could film it, and then immediately saw, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but tons and tons of fresh eggs in there. I can actually see the caproot in there right now. Man, so Queen got through the excluder, That sucks. So instead of 6 boxes of honey, we're down to 5 boxes of honey in this location. This hive here has 1 frame of capped honey and some partial frames and mostly foundation. I'm not pulling that. Okay, we're down to 4 boxes of honey here. Another box. Just one really big, fat, swollen frame and a foundation. Yeah, God, I'm not pulling that. Over there, I did get a box over there, so that's something. That one's about, I don't know, over 50% full and capped. So 1 box so far. Yippee. Well, that's about it. This box is doing pretty good, but it's all uncapped. And so I got 1 box here and another box over there, and that's, you know, they're each half full, roughly capped. So wow, big haul here. I'm glad I bought the Bobcat to lift these heavy boxes. Yard's finished. Everybody looks good, no dead outs. I didn't dig too deeply, but I did at least pop everybody in half. Gave them Apivar, so we're giving all the hives this summer. And 2 gallons of a 1-to-1 syrup. And they're not huge, which is why they didn't make honey. They were a little foundation bound, but I have given everybody good comb. They've got on average about 5 frames of deep foundation, which is a-okay with me in my scenario. That's more than strong enough for them to get to almonds. They look really good, and this yard did extremely good last fall. Last year, this yard was very weak. It was sick with mites. I could barely make any. I tried doing summer splits, and they were so sick I could barely split them. And I was able to beat the mites down and requeen a bunch of the colonies because they had bad queens too. And right at the end of the year, man, this yard they blew up, and they ended up being extremely good. Most of the yard went to California, did really well. So they look much better right now than they did last year. They were sick as a dog last year. And I do have 1 sick hive here, here on the end. It looks like maybe a bacterial issue, probably EFB if I had to guess. I don't see any signs of mites, so I assume it's bacterial, but I flagged it. I gave it some Terra Pro on top of the Apivar, so whether it's mites or bacterial, hopefully I gave whatever's attacking them a good gut punch. And I'll treat them next time I come by as well. I'll try to remember to bring some Terra Pro out here. But yeah, 2 boxes of honey in this yard, so not particularly worth my time and energy, but you see that's why I'm also medicating and feeding and taking care of everything, giving them comb while I'm here, because it's not even worth the fuel cost to drive out there to pull 2 boxes of honey. But you know, I mean, all this other stuff has got to be done. But they're a little bit on the light side, a little lighter than I was anticipating. Not starving or anything, but definitely not heavy and honey bound like the other colonies are, which could be good too. Queen's got space to lay. So this yard might need a little bit of food sooner rather than later. Okay, heading to the next spot. Check this out. We got a windows visor reflector sun thing. I don't know what the heck these things are called to keep the sun off. We got it branded with a logo. It took a few weeks for them to make it. We put it in both trucks. We're trying to brand and advertise more, and I don't know, man. I think that's pretty freaking cool, but you know, I'm a little biased. Okay, next yard. My notes say 10 boxes of honey here, which based off last year, it feels like, I don't know. I'm tired. Based off the last yard, that probably means like 3 or 4 boxes of honey, because I'm sure there's some that just too weak to leave. I go ahead and mark and call it honey in the notes, because, you know, I don't know when. It might be weeks before I come back, so maybe that 1 frame of honey might be more. Clearly it's not, so, you know, obviously the honey flows over, but better safe than sorry. At least I can double check them, so I'll pull what I can here. These bees are looking pretty good last time I was here. I would like to rebuild some of these, because this yard did extremely good last fall. There was a lot of fall pollen coming in. There's a lot of fields around here, a lot of peanut fields, so there'll be a ton of mustard in the area, and that'll give me just a steady supply of pollen all year long. Hopefully they look still pretty good. This is actually John's place. He's the guy that, my handyman, he's the one that wired my extraction barn, and he fixed the wax separator, and usually when something breaks and Google can't help me fix it, I call him. And John's a beekeeper. He's got a few hives. So usually beekeepers don't want other beekeepers on their property, obviously competing for resources, but I told John he can have all the swarms of mine that he finds. So he's got a little bit of incentive because he wants to grow. In fact, actually, look at that. There's one right up there. I don't know if John can get that one, but if you can, John, it's yours, man. I swear that swarm was there when I came by here 2 weeks ago, though. I remember one right up in that limb. I don't know. Maybe there was another swarm and they just left a little wax or something. They went to it. Okay, well, I'm going to pull off the couple of frames of honey that are here and feed and medicate them, and same old, same old. I guess the heat got to me last time I was here and I was marking these honey boxes, or I just huffed a little too much smoke there. I don't know. I marked it as a box of honey, and it's quite literally a box of 10 frames of new foundation. So good job, Pass Matthew. I don't know what happened to you, but you know, take it easy, buddy, because you kind of missed the mark there by a little bit. I got this one kind of close. It actually drew the frames out, but it is not capped at all. Not ready to harvest. I got one box there. There's three big old fat frames there. I'm gonna go ahead and just take it. I guess it's already a double deep, so I'll take it. So 1 out of 3. Here we go. This one's not terrible. Got about 8 frames looking like that here, so I'll harvest this one. Okay, cool. I'll take it. Just a few frames like that. Gonna leave it. Another box of this stuff. I can be real greedy. I could scratch that and take that little part there. But I don't know if it's worth powering the machines up to extract that. I'm gonna let the bees have this one. This one's a little better. Got about 3 frames like that. I'll take it. I'm desperate. I will take every bit, girls. Thank you so much. 3 frames here. I'm taking it. Negative. Okay, last box of honey for the day. We're going to open this one together. What do you guys think? Honey, not honey? This is it. This is the finale of today. I'll tell you what I think. I think I'm going to have to go get a part-time job at McDonald's. That's exactly where this is headed. 2 frames, I think. Okay. All right. Maybe not a part-time job at McDonald's, just maybe a summer job at McDonald's. Here we go. I'm gonna take it, man. IRS has got nothing on me, buddy. I'm closing all the honey tax loopholes. I'm taking every drop. Poor girls. I'm sorry, girls. Got bills to pay. Okay, this is today's harvest. Look at that. 7 deep boxes out of 2 yards, 248 hive yards, you know, not counting the dead outs. It was total 96 colonies originally. And that's what I got. And those boxes are not even full. I bet you I could combine them down to about half that many boxes. That is the harsh reality of trying to make honey off deep comb. I mean, off deep comb, yeah, off deep foundation. Those are new boxes, brand new frames. They were nice and primed with wax. This is as good as it gets for these girls. These 2 yards I did today are good honey yards. I typically get a nice crop off of them. So that's just the reality of what's going to happen if you're trying to produce your own wax. If you're not going to buy frames of comb from other beekeepers, this is it. You're going to do 3 frames over here and a couple frames over here. Maybe one box will be full. Occasionally you'll hit a yard, you won't get even a frame. And then, of course, you've got to protect all this stuff and hope the beetles and the moths don't destroy it, you know, or that you can store it up somehow. And it's slow going. It's slow. That's why the shortcut of buying comb from another beekeeper is so enticing. Yeah, foul brood is a real risk. It definitely is. But, I mean, believe it or not, all of these hives that we had, I think it was 3 years ago. My memory's a little foggy. I believe it was 3 years ago. I had 1,000 double deeps. And that's how we doubled to 2,000. I took all the double deeps and I split them in half. And believe it or not, they were all solid comb. I even had a few medium boxes of comb for honey production. And we ended up throwing those on the singles. That's how I got hive and a halves, because I really don't like hive and a half colonies, just because they're tough to make splits with. And that is how I doubled. I bought enough lids and I went out and bought pallets, and then we cracked everything in half and we dropped a box, mostly deep box of foundation on everything. And that was 3 years ago. And I still have yet to draw out all of that foundation from 3 years ago. Now, you know, I could be a better beekeeper. I could take these hives and pick them up and move them to a different state, move them to different flows, and I could draw it out that way compared to buying it from other beekeepers. But because we have so many colonies and I just don't have enough help, I can't really afford to go travel around, and I just don't trust another beekeeper to take care of my stuff. I get super anxious just doing it for California, and I do that only because I have zero other option. So what we do is we just draw a little bit out every year. And then not only am I not drawing enough comb out to really make sure these things have 100% comb, but you know, you're just not producing that much honey. I mean, how much honey is in there? 5-gallon bucket, 10 gallons, I don't know. If anybody needs 2 pounds of honey, give me a call, man. I got you covered. I got you covered almost in spades. I can probably handle 4 pounds. But, you know, it's frustrating. But that's the reality of trying to produce your own comb. So you can decide whether that's an option for you or not. I'm still sticking with that option. All of that over there is mostly drawn out. So, you know, it is working. We didn't start with any comb either, and we were able to build up to 1,000. It took a long time. It just seems to take a really long time to draw out. And I think it's just because we have twice as many colonies, so I can't micromanage them as much as I could. 1,000 hives is not that much, believe it or not, once you have the infrastructure and you have the skills and you're, you know, fairly young enough and in good health. I think a beekeeper should be able to run 1,000 colonies on their own. 500 for sure, but definitely I think you should be able to handle 1,000 once you have the experience level. But 2,000 is just, it's too much for a person to micromanage. And yeah, my wife's helping me, and we have a couple part-timers, which is why we're doing way better this year. But even then, we're stretched so thin, and I think that's why it's taking so long to draw out these other 1,000 boxes foundation that we're trying. But anyway, just I know I was kind of being funny with the pulling the honey and stuff, but I was just trying to drive a point home. That's just how it is. But I'm gonna keep doing it, and that's it for today, and I'll try to pull the remaining yards that are left here hopefully this week, and we'll be done with honey. Okay, yard's done. Everybody's fed, medicated, kind of sort of roughly checked. At least, you know, I cracked them in half and they looked alive. I think the heat index is over 100 degrees. I haven't looked. It was very close earlier. My eyeballs are melting out of my skull. I feel like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where they open the Ark up and everybody's faces melt off. That's how I feel right now. But I made it, and it's over. And now I'm going to go sit in some nice air conditioning. We're going to extract this tonight. I'm not going to just extract these 7 boxes. I pulled a couple dozen yesterday. What I found is that I can usually let the honey sit off the hives for about 24 hours without the hive beetle larvae tearing it up. So that's what we'll do. We'll pull honey for 2 days. And I'll just throw tarps over it outside the extraction room so the bees can't rob it back. And then it's fine to extract. I found if I let it sit off the hive, and definitely outside, right? I don't have a nice concrete floor sealed barn. It's sitting out in the grass with 2 really big heavy tarps over it. I find after about 24 hours, the beetles start sliming it up. It gets bad. Not always, but too valuable to take the risk. So our rule is 24 hours. The other thing we're doing to save a little bit of time, since we're just getting a little bit of honey, is I'm not running the wax separator right now. We're pumping all the honey. I do have a couple barrels left, and then I've got those big syrup totes if I need to. So we're pumping all the honey and all the wax cappings that are coming out of the extractor into the barrels and probably into the syrup tote. I think I'm going to run out of barrels tonight. And then when we're done this week, I'm just going to run everything, you know, one night through the wax separator. I did that last year. And, you know, last year I think I ran like 20 barrels or something through it in one night, and it was horrible. And I swore I'd never do it again, but, you know, we're not going to have near anything like that. I'm going to have just a few barrels here. We run everything through the 2-story colonies, which made most of our honey. These little singles, you know, you saw it's 20 gallons here, 30 gallons there if I'm lucky. There's just no point because that wax separator, it holds a lot of honey. It always does, so you lose honey if you run it too often without a lot of honey in it, and it just takes an hour for it to finish spinning all the honey out, and then you have to wash it. So better if I just keep the wax cappings together and then do it all in one night. We'll lose less honey and I just get more sleep. So we're gonna extract this tonight and other stuff from yesterday tonight, and then man, my brain is like pounding. I think, what did I say earlier this day? I don't even remember. I think I've got three yards left. I got one big 100 hive yard, and I think we've got 2 more yards. Shoot, man, I don't even know. I don't know. I'll look at my notes. Anyways, I'll probably film it just because it's the last bit of honey. So we'll find out in the editing process how many yards I have left, and that's it. We're just gonna get this done, and I'm gonna go cool off before I die heat stroke. And you see, sometimes you've got to feed the bees and take care of them, medicate them, even when they cause you to lose money, which is not their fault. You know, we had a lot of extenuating circumstances this year. I love you girls, no offense, but yeah, you didn't really earn your dinner today. But that's what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to take the hit and take care of them. And hopefully we'll keep them alive and we'll make our money back and then some in California. So that's it. See ya. All right, next yard. Shouldn't be too bad. I've got 13 boxes of honey marked here. Most of the prep work was done. The singles, I think, were some dead outs we rebuilt, and we didn't have any cells or queens, so that was a couple weeks ago, so they're definitely not even ready to bother with. I'll pop the lid just to make sure they're alive. If I need to drop some more brood or something in them or stack them, I'll have to figure that out here in a minute. Shouldn't be too much to do here. I wrote in the notes that there really was almost no honey, but I need to come out here and get what I can, and of course get everybody fed and medicated and make sure they're still alive. Weather's been absolutely horrible. It's just been raining for a good portion of the day. By the time we got the buckets filled and the rain passed, I mean, it's already late in the afternoon, so I'm only going to do 1 yard here today, but you know, I'm really not too upset about that. We were supposed to finish extraction pretty quickly last night, but we had like an empty honey barrel left over. And we've just been dumping the raw honey with the wax cappings in it, and it got full. And then we didn't have anywhere to store it, so we had to go and empty some other honey buckets in the bottling tank. That took forever, and wash the buckets and then fill those buckets up with the remaining honey, and it just added a lot of extra time to the evening. But, you know, it happens. There was a little more honey than I had anticipated, which was a good problem to have. But I'll get whatever I can get here, and I think it's going to be pretty scraggly. And we do have only one more yard after this. I think it's a 90 hive yard. It was in pretty bad shape. Like half of it was queenless, so I don't expect too much when we get there as far as honey goes. But it will be a lot of queen checking and fixing, and I'm kind of dreading it, to be honest. But it needs to be crossed off the list. And I did check the weather. It ended up hitting like 108 degrees yesterday. Well, that was the real feel, you know. It was just so, it was pretty brutal heat-wise. I don't mind. I like the heat. I'm pretty resistant to it. But when it gets into triple-digit territory, that's when I'm like, okay. The bees weren't even flying. That's how you know it's hot. The bees are just like, screw this. You know, they're like, we're not doing anything. We're done. I'm the only crazy animal out there trying to work in a stinking bee suit in triple-degree heat, but you know, that's just how it is this time of year. It's only going to get worse. I mean, August is going to be, it can get up to 120 here. The real feel will in August. So trying to knock out all the heavy labor now, and maybe we won't have to kill ourselves this August. I don't know. And I was going to say too, I got a little notification on my YouTube app. It said the vlog is 1 year old, I guess now. I've been doing this for a year. And this is funny. This is actually the first video that I ever filmed was in this location. So that's kind of a cool little coincidence. And so yeah, I can't believe it's been a freaking year. It's time is going by way too fast. But I'm a little beat up. I'm a little tired. I feel like somebody hit me with a stick really hard last night. But so I'm going to be a little sluggish chipping away at this. But it's overcast. It's not too hot today. Hopefully it won't rain anymore. And there shouldn't be too much work here. And then maybe I'll be lucky and get an early day. Nah, so far most of it just looks like this. I mean, they are drawing the frames, you can see, which I really appreciate that, but they haven't put in enough honey and camped it off. So nothing yet, but I can definitely use this comb. I'm glad I at least got that because we're desperate for it. There's definitely got to be some kind of nectar flow going on out there. I almost pulled those bogs. You see it's all capped. All of that is uncapped. At first I almost just yanked it, and I was like, let me just shake it real quick. And you can see all of the fresh nectar that's come out of there. I mean, just covering it. That was just a couple shakes. Look at that. So I can't extract that without seriously boosting the moisture rate in the honey and risking fermentation. And I don't have a honey dryer, so I can't really, you know, take that risk. I hate it. There's actually some nice chunks of honey you can see there. So I'm a little torn. I really don't want to, I mean, with us being at the end, if this was earlier in the season, I would just leave this thing on and be like, hey, let's come back to this yard in a couple of weeks. They're clearly making something, but it's just this yard and one other yard. I mean, we're really at the last, probably one more night of extraction and it's over. So I also see the bees are trying to work and draw the wax. It's already a nice hive and a half. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to think about it. I think I'm going to just yank the queen excluder off. Just leave them as a weird little hive and a half with a deep super. They're holding it down. Population's okay. They're not, I don't see any beetle, moth damage, nothing. And maybe with my syrup bucket that I'll hit them with, we can get them to finish drawing, capping this off. Not to extract, obviously. but we can spread it around this yard because I know in my notes I had written that there's still several hives here, deep hives, that have some a few frames of foundation, not many. So we could let these things finish drawing with syrup and then give it to those colonies out there as brood comb. Next visit, whenever we come back around, it should be in pretty good shape. Or I could just take it, and give it to another location. But if I pull it off, the bees here, with it being overcast and stuff like this, they're going to rob the heck out of it, I'm sure. I mean, there's a little flow on maybe, but I don't think it's enough to stop them from robbing on an overcast day. Bringing it back to the house is also going to get robbed out, or even worse, beetles are going to hatch in it and completely destroy it. A little torn. I think I'm going to leave it, but I'll come back and make a decision later. This is a single rebuilt. No, we didn't rebuild it. It was a dead out, and we rebuilt it about 2 weeks ago. We used between 3 or 4 brood. I think mostly we should try to use 4 if we could find it. Couple honey. Of course, we left the bees on the brood. There was nothing. No cell, no queen. 2 weeks. There should probably, hopefully, be a virgin in there. They actually look pretty darn good. I mean, it's a nice little box of bees. So we've got a couple more weeks before we potentially have a laying queen. It's just, we can't make enough cells, and if I can't make cells, I can't make queens. So this is something we're doing this year that's new, is that we're rebuilding dead outs right now as walkaway splits. I don't really recommend anybody who's watching the videos to do that, because last year I rebuilt some dead outs with cells, and I'm pretty sure in the summer, and this was closer to August, I believe, is when I was tracking that data, we were getting like at best 50% mating. I think in some cases I got as low as 25% mating. And so we're really taking a risk here. The other only option we would have had would have been to just super them and stack them and wait until we can get queens this fall. My fear is, because we had like 150 something queenless colonies, a few weeks ago, that we just won't be able to produce the amount of cells or queens or the hives aren't going to have time to rebuild for California. So we're trying to do walkaway splits in summer. We will see. As long as the hives are population-wise okay, even if they fail, obviously we can still combine them. Obviously we can come back and rebuild. And as long as we're not dumping foundation into the parent colonies that we're pulling from, the queens have the ability to go back in there and lay. And obviously I'm putting a bucket on there, so food's not an issue. And as long as we stop splitting before fall, the bees should have more than enough time to rebuild, as long as they have comb. And as long as I don't overfeed them like I did last year. That was a big screw up last year. So I think if this turns out to be a mistake, as long as we stay on top of the colonies, it's a mistake we can rectify without any significant damage. So we'll see how this plays out, but we're doing this right now in all the bee yards. We're rebuilding everything we can. No cell, no queen. Probably not until September when we can start getting cells again. This grub X that I sprinkled 2 weeks ago has not dissolved yet, and it has rained pretty much every day. I don't know how long it really takes for this stuff to break down and get in the soil. I'm still not even 100% positive it works. I've seen a lot of people in the comments say they use it. It's cheap enough that I'm willing to give it a shot. I don't know. We'll have to just see what happens, but I don't know. Maybe it's a slow release thing. I don't really know. This single rebuild's looking pretty good. Decent little population. Plenty of food I can see. Again, I'm not going to dig in them and perhaps disturb that virgin if she's there. I am going to go ahead and feed and medicate these things. I'm always on the fence of doing it with these little singles, because obviously if they turn south on me, especially this late in the season, that's a real possibility. Basically, it's a coin flip, whether they take or not. I'm wasting those resources, but if I don't give it to them and they take, I'm putting them at risk because they're just so weak and we're entering a dearth, or they just may not have time to build up for almonds, which is what I'm hoping to do with these. That's why we're rebuilding them. So I don't know. It's kind of a gamble. I'm going to gamble on just investing in them, and we'll just have to see if it was worth it. I don't know if you can see there well on the camera, but I'm opening all the hives, and every single one of them I'm opening, you can see on the top bars there, just little speckles of white wax. I mean, nothing crazy, nothing like a spring honey flow, but that's probably fresh wax production. So I don't recall seeing that last time we were here. But yeah, all the colonies have it, so there's still got to be something trickling in here. Yeah, look at that. I mean, there's still a little bit of fresh honey there. I can see some white wax cappings there. Every hive has got it. This one's doing a little better. You can see some on the bottom. And we just put these comb supers on 2 weeks ago, and they were extracted supers, so they've patched that up, and they've swollen them out a bit. You know, the uncapper smashes those things down, almost down to the wood. You can see they're a little bit swollen out, not significantly, but more. They've definitely had enough energy to repair them, and I think produce a little bit of wax. There's still something going on here. That's crazy. You know, it's so strange. I swear, it's like the honey flow is delayed this year. We got such a late start, and I only say we got a late start just because they didn't rain for like weeks, and our tallow crop got wiped out, which is my main flow. And now it's raining every stinking day, but you know, the tallow didn't come back. It was dead. It was gone. So it's not like the flowers magically come to life. But there definitely is still something out there putting it out, and we are right at the end of July. That's crazy. We should really be stepping into a dearth. So I don't know what the heck is going on. And I haven't seen this in the other yards much. I've seen some hives here and there, and I'm like, it seems like they got into something. But this entire yard here has gotten into something. So it must be something, a surplus. It's interesting. Well, you know, I'm not delaying, you know, the honey extraction for 13 boxes. I'm not going to do it. So we're just going to get whatever I can get, which so far is a big fat 0 from that half of the yard. So we'll see what this hive gives us. Ooh, this one looks pretty ugly. But this one had a cell cup right there. I just took it out, and I was about to call it queenless, but you know what? See some cat brood right down there. Maybe this one took. Maybe we had one cell when we rebuilt these. I don't know. They are slam honey bound though. Look at that. That's like 10 frames of honey. I'll pull some larvae and see if I'm going to check, see if they have larvae. If they do, I'm going to give them a little medium box of comb here that we extracted last night. Never mind, I'm stupid. I rebuilt these 2 weeks ago, so of course it takes 3 weeks for brood to hatch out if I gave them eggs, and I'm sure I gave them eggs. So of course there's cat brood. There's nothing here, no eggs, no larvae. Here the bees are buzzing like they're queenless. They're being real loud. I don't know why there was a cell cup in there when all the others that we rebuilt didn't have a cell. Maybe it was an old one. I don't know. I usually pull them out when I come around, but it's a little strange. But yeah, they're not. This one's not doing so hot. Same thing with this one. Got some nice little frames of capped honey down there, but as soon as I shake it, you know, got nectar coming out of there. I can't harvest this stuff. You know, I'm just gonna make a call. I'm almost at the end here. I hope I'm not gonna regret that decision. I'm trying to think about it real quick, but I think I'm going to do it. I'm just gonna yank these excluders off and leave these as triples, or hive and a half with a deep. I don't even know what you call that, kind of hive you call that. To me, it's a cardinal sin, man. Like, to take frames away from hives that are actively drawing foundation. And doubly true for my situation, where I'm short on comb, and it's the most valuable thing that I need, you know. Like, I think it's better to leave them. I'll still give them a bucket and some medicine, so I won't be able to harvest that, obviously, but maybe they'll finish drawing these boxes out. You know, I don't know. Usually if I have a yard that has a lot of dead outs, I would just kind of use these to rebuild again, but there's not a single dead out in this location. There's one more queenless rebuild single over there, but the few that have been here, this yard's actually done extremely good. This is that yard we built with virgin queens. Not intentionally, they just, you know, I was late getting over here and making the splits, and they were hatching running around the incubator, and they took super well. But there's nothing really to rebuild here outside of maybe supering those little singles, but they're not going to be queen right for at least a couple more weeks, which maybe they have taken their buckets by then. I don't know. Maybe I can super these singles. That's what I'm going to do. We'll see what happens. Last single we remade. It's looking pretty decent too. They're still kicking. Everybody's alive. Awesome. Hopefully they will be queen right next time I come back around and check on them. I guess I will get something for my time and effort today. This box I can harvest. All 10 frames kind of look like that. Tiny little bit of shake coming out of them, but not much. So one box of honey. Whoopee, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Fume board's not working really well. It's so overcast. It's drizzling a little bit here and there. It's mostly pretty clean. It's not like I'm sweating it that much. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's one box. I'll wait. It's okay. Ah, see, now I overdid it. I ran them right out of the hive. That'll be fine. I just let that fume board sit on too long. Smoked them a little too hard. And still bees in there. Well, just can't win. I've been out here for at least a couple hours, and look at that stack of buckets. Look at those busted buckets that corn syrup fell out of. And I don't see a single bee on them. They are not even slightly interested. Nothing. Oh, you're gonna make me a liar, girl. There's one. She's sniffing. But not even remotely interested. The landowner just came over to talk to me, and he was just telling me how active they've been lately. He said they've been buzzing it out on the trees and in the woods, and he says he hears them and sees them. He said they're out working like crazy. So I sure would like to know what they're doing. But man, they do look really healthy. They're looking really nice. Finished up here. Only went one box of honey, but you know, all the hives are alive. They're healthy. They're clearly still got some kind of nectar flow going on. The only queenless I saw were those 4 singles that we rebuilt 2 weeks ago. And you know, now they've all got food and medicine. And there's actually less foundation here as I was digging in them than I thought. There's a little bit, but if these continue to draw their frames out here, there will be enough comb, I'm pretty sure, to spread around the whole yard. And we should be more or less pretty solid comb. And last year this yard did really well until I think like sometime late in the fall, there was a break in the pollen and I panicked and I moved them over to mustard. But I don't know, I might leave them this year. I mean, so far they're doing really good. There's definitely no reason to move them anytime soon. So that's it for today. I'm running out of time. So one more yard tomorrow, and that will be it for honey. Last yard here, as far as pulling honey goes. There's 89 colonies left, and 41 of them were completely queenless or almost dead last time we were here, and it's been 5 weeks. We rebuilt everybody. Last time we were here, gave them cells. I think we had a few queens maybe we were able to throw in here too, if I remember correctly. But we rebuilt them really strong because they were just in really, really bad shape. Oh, I think there was only a couple boxes of honey that I remember listing here, but it's just been so long, and the yard was so bad, and we basically had to rip the guts out of half the yard to save the other half. So the odds that they drew out deep boxes of foundation, and I remember these, they got old foundation. This was like right before we put these supers on, right before we got all that new equipment. So it was all wax moth junk. It was stuff that had been sitting out in the field. So I really don't anticipate anything here. So I don't know, hopefully it'll be a short extraction tonight because of that, but I just hope we don't lose half the yard. That's my biggest fear. But we're going to go through, we're going to queen check everybody, pull whatever honey is here, feed, medicate. I've got comb, you know, from extraction that we've made recently. So we'll try and drop that in them and just try to get them back up and running. We will find out here in a little bit how it goes. The other thing I'm a little concerned about, the weather has cleared. It was supposed to rain today, and the weather cleared up. But then we got a heat advisory and said the heat index today is supposed to be 109 degrees. So it's going to be brutal. But we've got to get it done. After this, we're finished with honey. So we'll just power through it. Look at these old nasty frames. Bees are drawing out. Even the ones that were queenless 5 weeks ago are drawing foundation. This is old. I mean, look at that. There's no wax on there. Who knows how old this was. A lot of the wood's falling apart in my hands. They need to be fixed, but I can't believe the bees drew this old junk. The whole yard's just really, really doing great. We're super surprised so far. Big pile of honey. Wasn't even prepared for that much honey. And almost every one of them have been queened. We've still got a little ways to go. It's been shockingly good. It's brutally hot today. That's the downside. Trying not to die of heat stroke, but the bees are just man, it's night and day difference than they were five weeks ago. I can't believe it. What we're doing during extraction, especially since we haven't had that much honey, was we're trying to save some time during the day. So we're prepping our supers. We're trying to make sure everybody's got about 5 frames of good fresh new comb. And then these are, I do like 3 and 2 foundation here. That way the queen can get up there and we can have a nice core brood. It's unlikely, I think, they're going to draw these other 5 frames this late in the season. You know, who knows? You know, I mean, they're surprising me here. But it should be enough for California. You know, we're making sure the bottom box has 10 good frames, and then the 5 up here, it's a 15 frame hive. I mean, that's plenty. A lot of the guys that run 8 frame double deeps, they'll use like an internal feeder, so they can only get like 15 frames in there anyways, and their hives look great. So us running 15 shouldn't be an issue. Which is looking really good. Yard is finished, looking good. It was a pretty long day, mostly because of the heat. Turns out at the end the yard was really freaking fantastic. Really caught me by surprise how good it was. We ended up only having 10 hives that were queenless out of the 41, and we only lost 1 of them, so we were able to rebuild everything. And since we don't have any cells and we obviously don't have any queens, we rebuilt them with 4 frames of brood and bees from the strong colonies. Seems like mating's pretty good here. I still saw a lot of drones. I still saw a drone brood. I saw 2 types of pollen coming in, so they might be able to survive and make their own queen. I'm not really positive, but 4 frames of brood and dumping those bees in there will guarantee they can at least protect the box until we can come back and then decide what to do with them, whether it's rebuild them again or maybe we'll get lucky and get some cells. I don't know. And this hive was super strong. I mean, there was 6 to 8 frames of brood, and most of the colonies that I dug in, and just in those little singles. No sign of disease or anything. Everybody's looking really good. We used all the comb we had, and we marked some of these with red pins. I think there was, I don't remember how many boxes, a dozen boxes or so of just solid foundation. So as soon as we extract this stuff tonight, we'll come back, I don't know, tomorrow or as soon as we can, and dump in at least 5 frames of comb in the center there. And then we can pretty much scratch this yard off the list as far as having any issues with foundation. There was a lot more foundation in the bottom boxes than I had thought, than I had written in my notes. Like 2 to 3 frames per box, mostly. I found a few boxes that had 5 frames of foundation in the bottom and a 10 frame foundation box on the top. So those poor girls, no way they can handle that. So we did dump all the new comb into the bottom and try to give them at least 5 up there in the top. And so hopefully they can keep expanding. We've been out here for a long time and they have not touched the buckets that we had laying out, just like what I saw yesterday. We ended up getting 32 deep boxes of pretty darn solid honey in the end. You can see how tall that giant stack is. That's our honey stack, all deeps. That was all old foundation that was pretty junky. They drew it out, and most of the boxes are either full or they're at least 50% full. So I'm willing to bet we got over a barrel of honey there, which would be really fantastic. So going to be kind of a long night extracting that. We thought it would be short, but you know, you saw I only pulled 1 other box here in the last couple of days. So yeah, so yeah, I guess that's really it. So we have 33 boxes to extract, but that's whatever. We'll get through it. And the yard's looking really good. I don't know what else to say, man. It's really hot. My brain is just melting. Other than just fixing these 10, maybe next time we come around, some of them will fail, and just dumping comb in them, and just the dozen or so that need it. This yard is fantastic. Like, I see a lot of potential for this one going to California. There are a lot of old rotten boxes we've got around. They're looking a little iffy just because, I don't know, this yard just got crappy frames, crappy boxes, crappy everything. But we'll come back and swap that out another day. It's 5 billion degrees. The bees are clearly doing fine as is with the old boxes. So something to do on the to-do list, but we're going to get out of here and try to cool down. I thought it was going to be a not too bad of a day, and it just, you know, we ended up having to queen check all these colonies and spread and equalize comb and stuff. So it turned out to be a lot more work than I had originally thought. But, you know, hey, we got a great last day to end the honey harvest on. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that we drew out 30 plus boxes of deep foundation, so we can spread that around to other yards that were short. And heck, I mean, and the hives look great. You can't beat that, only losing one colony. I'm very happy. So all right, well, we'll get back, get a little rest, and extract this stuff tonight, and then that'll be it for honey. We are finished for the season, thank goodness. Glad to leave on a happy note. This is it, last stack of honey for the year. Brought back a lot of bees. That one's not super capped. A lot of it does look really good. Hard to do without a hive tool. Yeah, see, a lot of it's like this. A lot of old frames. I think this is the one box I pulled yesterday, because that's the new box. This stuff we pulled today were all our old frames. I mean, like, I'm not kidding, this stuff was like covered in wax moss. It's just been sitting out in the yard for like a year with probably a tarp over it. To see them draw it out is great. And any of these frames that'll break, we've got those new frames we purchased that we'll pop this into. So we can also cycle out this old stuff at the same time. I'm ready for it to be over. It's going to be kind of a long night, I think, but it's the last night. Just finished extracting, got almost that whole 300-gallon tote full. We just released the honey from the wax separator, so it's got to run for about an hour. And then it'll release some honey, and then we will be, well, actually we are at the 300-gallon mark. It's 275, 300, so I guess this goes up to about 325 or so. So that's pretty nice. We didn't do all that tonight. We pumped a couple barrels, had wax cappings, and we had some other yards, but that's what we've got since we ran out of barrels. But it works pretty good. We'll have to move it in the barn in the morning when we make a little room in here. There's just no space for now. But glad to be done. All right, honey's over.